What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? After more than 150 conversations with executives from companies like Disney, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, I've learned that sports is a common denominator. Some of our guests' athletic experiences earned them a place in their sports hall of fame, like Chick-fil-A chairman Dan Cathy. Some hung up their cleats after high school, like Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian, while others, like Condoleezza Rice, claim they weren't that great in their sport. But no matter their skill level, they have all told me that being a part of a team taught them leadership lessons that they still use today. In partnership with Chief Executive Magazine, I'm your host, Don Yeager, here to give you an all-access pass to genuine, authentic, fireside chat-like conversations with today's business icons so that you can create powerful change in your organization. This is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is Verdine Baker, president of StretchLab, a brand among Exponential Fitness's impressive portfolio, which includes Pure Barre and Cycle Bar. Verdine's journey to the top was far from straightforward. Early dreams of a professional soccer career were derailed by injuries, yet those setbacks paved the way for his rise to prominence in the fitness industry. When Verdine joined StretchLab as the national sales director, there were 3 franchise locations. Now, there are more than 400 studios across North America and 900 licensed locations globally, making them the global leader in assisted stretching. Make sure to visit corporatecompetitorpodcast.com/notes for our downloadable worksheet. We packed this resource with my top quotes from today's conversation and added reflection questions to next level your leadership.
Adversity taught me perseverance. Being injured long term is one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with mentally. Every day in rehab is like a lesson in commitment and perseverance. You're going to have challenges. You have to not be surprised by it. It's almost like you have to expect it and develop a plan and then attack it. Attack it with every bit of fiber you have, with an enthusiasm, with a passion, and fight your way out.
Verdine, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Don. Excited to be here.
You know, reading your story, I read where you used to sneak into gyms for workouts because you couldn't quite afford to be a member, but then you ultimately become manager of one, CEO of StretchLab, amazing organization. Your journey is just inspiring. How did that steady climb through the company ranks impact the way you inspire those you lead today?
I owe a lot of the opportunities that I've had by having people ahead of me that really took the time and dedicated their time to be able to help me in my career. When I first started at Crunch Fitness, I had a general manager, Noah Rolland, that would systemize just about everything and create efficiencies for just about everything. Essentially, that's what franchising is all about. Early on, I started to kind of get on, hey, I could do better in my role as a membership advisor if I could be more efficient in how I make phone calls or how I get leads or all those different elements of our business. My second general manager earlier on, I saw firsthand how you could develop a passion for something that might not have been the first plan. I had my heart set on being a soccer player and had a few injuries, and I really wasn't that good anyway. But being able to see my passion and have the same types of feelings that I would have playing the game by watching others succeed, either in the team environment or my clients themselves. And I had a general manager, Amber Kane at Crunch Fitness, that every day that she walked into the gym, it was a positive light. She was ready to attack the day. I would always ask, like, hey, why are you so energized around going into this day? It's like, man, we have an opportunity to really help people today. And when you go through your own journey in health and wellness and you've achieved something and then be able to watch people do it, it's really gratifying. So I really found my passion in health and wellness by watching others do it and seeing other people's success. And then realizing that, hey, I'm having the same type of feelings, I'm having the same type of enjoyment out of the experiences I'm having here, maybe in a slightly different way. You got to be passionate about what you do and be efficient. You have to create the right systems.
I love that. I had a chance to interview a leader not long ago in which they were sharing with me anything you're going to do more than 3 times, you should create a system for. And I thought, wow, how many of us are constantly doing the same thing over and over again, but we're not ever quite doing it exactly the same.
Right.
What a good lesson that you learned early. Systematize, bring passion to what you do every day, and you will climb the ladder. I love it. Soccer, you joked about the fact that you weren't that good at it, but in fact, you were pretty good. You were born in the Seychelles Islands off the coast of Africa and moved to California, 11 years old, and you're killing it. Is there a memory from your time on the field that you still think about today?
I just really love playing the game, whether it's celebrating goals with my teammates, celebrating winning tournaments. Some of my best memories playing was actually back in the Seychelles.
Mm.
I must be 7, 8, 9, 10 years old before I came to California. One of my fondest memories was organizing a lunchtime soccer tournament as an 8-year-old. We had t-shirts screen printed, designed by teams. I went around local businesses trying to secure sponsorship so we could have this lunchtime tournament. Although we didn't win, it was just a lot of fun putting it together. It's kind of my first time doing something a little bit different, maybe something a little bit more entrepreneurial. As a young kid, to my mom, she was always encouraging me to do something different, be more. There's no reason why you have to have some boundaries. And that was one of my fondest moments around the game, is organizing something to get people involved in the game that wasn't necessarily something that was available.
I love that lesson from your mom. Be more. What a great inspiration. You don't need a speech. 2 words can do it. Be more.
Yeah.
Was there a great influence on your sports journey? Maybe a coach, someone who you remember all these years later?
Absolutely. My youth coach, Vavar Marquez, he coached me in my club team, coached me in high school, coached me a little bit in college. Probably knows me best as a player and as a person. He's like a second father to me. I spent a lot of time with him. Just by nature, you have that influence. And he was hard on us, but he always had a unique ability to kind of make parallels in life experiences with the game and how he taught it. He demanded a lot out of us, and we played hard because of it, and we won because of it. We became a team because of it. A lot of the ways that I kind of lead my team, sometimes I even think of his voice. I'm going into like a team meeting. It's like a halftime speech or something. If I'm talking to the sales team, hey, we got to improve the numbers somewhere.
Mm.
It's fun to think about it, and having had somebody make that kind of investment in you at a young age. And, hopefully he's proud.
I'm sure he is. Do you stay in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. We exchanged messages on Facebook here and there. Our team had a reunion a few years back. We're probably due for another one soon. But yeah, he's still around. I'm in Southern California and he's in Northern California now. I can't thank him enough. I mean, those investments that people make in you, your coaches make in you, it's paying dividends still today. And, definitely take advantage of every opportunity that I get to acknowledge those experiences that I've had in my life with those people that have been so impactful.
Yeah. Is there a leadership lesson from your time in soccer that has affected the way that you lead today?
Commitment.
Mm.
Big word, right? I've had multiple knee surgeries, ACL reconstructions, microfracture surgery, you name it.
Mm.
To play at a high level, you have to commit yourself to get back to where you want to be as an athlete. A lot of the work that we do is not glamorous, but we have to have that deep conviction. We have to have that commitment that by executing it, we will be better as a system. We will be better as a team. I kind of think about those days of rehab when, man, it's hard, you're hurt, you're injured. There's no end in sight, in a sense, for you to get back on the field. And I think about that. And then I think about playing after that, whatever tournament it might have been, or being with my teammates or being on the field. Hey, I'm having this challenge now, but it's not forever. I have to have that commitment to work through this, because the reward at the end of it is going to be joyful. We have to have that deep conviction and commit to it.
That idea that what you do in any business is not glamorous. Unfortunately, most fans don't see the work done that is not glamorous, but allows what happens when the lights are on to shine.
I kind of look at it as the non negotiable foundational things. Get good at the simple stuff, get good at the really foundational things. A lot of the coaches that I've had in my past also kind of taught in that way. Hey, we have to learn the basics and we have to be really good at the basics before we could extend ourselves to do more. Sometimes we get a little too ahead of ourselves. I really try to ground myself and remind myself that, hey, I have to build a proper foundation in my life, our business, a team, for us to be able to sustain our success, for us to be able to sustain how we execute. You could do something really fast, really good, and catch lightning in a bottle in a sense, but I look at these things as legacy opportunities. Every team member that comes on board, I look at it as an opportunity for me to develop that person for our organization, hopefully, but maybe not. And that's also okay. But I have to integrate them into what we do so they could be convicted, they could be committed into doing it to their best of their ability.
That's a really powerful phrase. Develop them, hopefully for your organization, but if not, that's still important to do too. Too often people are, "Ah, gosh, if I spend a whole lot of money in development on somebody, if I go teach them these and then they leave, what does that mean?" Zig Ziglar once said, "Yeah, but if you don't teach them how to develop and they stay, what does that mean?"
Right.
Development is something that we should be doing for others, whether they are going to stay with us or not.
100%. I've seen these different environments and these different teams and been around different leaders, some leaders that really open themselves into teaching and growing a team
Hmm.
because there was no fear. There was no fear of replacement or anything like that. It was more of, hey, this is part of how we do our business and this is part of who I am as a person. I've also seen it the other side where there's been fear-based leadership and I found that that didn't necessarily translate into production. I also think about different moments of my athletic career of, hey, did that coach earn the right to yell at me to where I would listen and do it?
Mm.
If it was Vava, he would yell at me, he'd earned the right. But I've also had other coaches that hadn't invested the time to get to know me as an athlete to where them going at me in this way would have an impact. I gravitated towards coaches that tended to teach and help me understand. People are going to work for us certainly because they are compensated. They got to take care of themselves, the things they like, and do the things they need to in their lives. But people are going to work for us because we create and cultivate the right culture for them to be in. We create positive learning experiences for them to grow their career and to grow themselves personally. That is equally as important as the compensation piece because people want to be part of something special. If I'm going to ask the best out of my team, I have to invest my time into them. I have to allow them to be their best.
Give me some things you do there to show them that investment. What are some ways that you invest in them that doesn't seem gratuitous, but is very intentional and meant to be meaningful?
Spending time, investing your time into listening to who they are, understanding who they are,
Mm.
getting to know them a little bit deeper than just the surface level things, creating true connections with the team that serves your business, understanding what they want out of this. I try to invest my time into the team and really getting to know them on a consistent basis, getting to hear them. They have to give us feedback also, try to create an environment where they have to learn how to manage up. We can't get better if we don't know as leaders, is another one of the things that I always talk about to the team and the franchise. So I create that forum for them to give us feedback and give the other executives feedback on how we can improve as leaders in the system because we're not always the ones with all the good ideas. Most of the time, the rest of the team or the rest of the business has plenty of input that could help support or get us better.
I love it.
And I tell the team, you cannot be your best here if you are not striving to be the best version of yourself in other aspects of your life,
Mm.
whether that's physical, mental. We have team members with young families. My VP of training and experience just became a new dad. We have a lot of different situations, and it's easy for us to get caught up in, hey, I need to focus on this one thing in business development.
Right.
But I really try to approach it as like, hey, how can I create an environment where this is their second home and they feel the value of being here in this environment. I see firsthand when we're all sound in that way, we're able to put out our best work. When they're their best version at home, they're their best version here.
Mm.
Understand our people face different challenges. All these different things happen. And I've had those experiences because I'm a parent. So you understand it, but you also understand that there's a synergy and a symbiotic relationship between us and what we need and the team. I know they have the commitment to get whatever needs done. So it allows me to have that trust that, hey, you can do the things that you need to do to be the best version of yourself here, understanding that you're making that commitment for you to be your best version here and do your best work.
You can't be your best here if you're not working on the best version of yourself in so many other aspects of life. That's so true.
That's for me too, not just them. That's for me.
Yeah, no, it's true. I say that all the time. You can really tell those who are chasing greatness by their understanding of that exact philosophy. They lean in when it comes to developing themselves. That's really awesome. You know, you faced a significant setback, 4 knee surgeries, ended your soccer career. What did all those adversities teach you?
Oh man, definitely expedited my transition into being an adult. That's for sure. um, Adversity taught me perseverance. Being injured long term is one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with mentally.
Mm,
It can be demoralizing. It can be depressing. There's a lot of different things that are associated with not being able to be on the field. Every day in rehab is like a lesson in commitment and perseverance. Every step that you take towards getting back to where you want to be is another step of that commitment and perseverance to getting to where you want to be. And, some people don't want to go all the way back to playing. It could be, hey, I just want to walk or whatever it is. You're going to have challenges. They're going to come. You have to not be surprised by it. It's almost like you have to expect it and develop a plan and then attack it. Attack it with every bit of fiber you have, with an enthusiasm, with a passion. Every situation that I put myself in where I've had to claw myself out of it, I kind of lean back on that perseverance and that commitment and fight your way out.
and, I think the one thing that you see in a lot of championship level performers is that they fought their way back a couple times. The one thing that does give you is a level of confidence that there's almost nothing you can't fight your way back from.
Sometimes I'm an eternal optimist. Like I'm a glasses half full person. Like that's just my mindset, maybe sometimes to a fault. So I have to remind myself that, hey, I have to operate as a pessimist sometimes in some situations or with some different team members.
Yeah.
I just have to dial it back my optimism a little bit sometimes, which can be challenging, but I'm finding the right balance to where I could be optimistic and also pull myself back and question and dig in and do all those things that needs to be done for us to execute at the highest level.
Yeah. You know, when you came on board as sales manager at StretchLab, there was 3 national franchise. Now there's 400 plus a whole bunch more globally. To what do you ascribe the success that you found in the world of business?
We can't do this unless we have franchise partners that are committed, that are passionate, that are equally as enthusiastic about the brand and our vision that is shared in becoming a modality that is as synonymous with health and wellness and as widely accepted as other health and wellness modalities that are out there. And that can allow themselves to learn something new because most of our franchise partners are from a different industry. They're not from small business, they're not from health and wellness. We have to teach them how to be a small business owner, how to be a boutique fitness owner. We can't do this without the franchise partners that we have that are executing this model on the ground. We're not building these things on our own. So being able to have smart individuals that can execute, build teams themselves, build the right culture, build a sense of community as we continue to grow this brand. As you mentioned, 400 locations with locations in Australia, Japan, Mexico, Canada, Kuwait soon to be coming, and still growing in the US. Yeah, we're scratching the surface of what we think we could have from an impact standpoint globally.
You mentioned the need to be able to have committed partners willing to learn something new. What are some of the things you can teach me about recruiting committed and talented people? Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the things you look for? What are some of the kind of questions you ask? How are you judging people to determine that they're the right fit for you?
As an employer, your potential employees, you have to find a way to be attractive to them.
Hmm.
You have to be able to create a connection between you and that potential employee where they see you as somebody of value. Hey, I could attach myself to this person. They're a person of integrity. They're a person that I trust that can be of value in my personal and career development. And I could be aligned in the shared vision of the studio.
Hmm.
You need to make sure you understand the business that you are getting yourself into, how to describe it. You need to be convicted in every sentence that you say about that business. You need to know it inside and out. Having that knowledge and being able to articulate it to a potential candidate will give them the confidence that, hey, you know what you're talking about. You understand this business. Although every partner that's recruiting, they've been in the system with their opening their first studio for like 5 minutes.
Right.
First thing that we teach them is the brand. Who are we? What do we do? How do we help people? We need them to be attractive to a potential employer. This is not just a regular employment contract. Like I said, people are going to work for you because you're going to pay them, but they're going to work for you for the other stuff, probably more so.
Right. They're going to work for you longer if you take care of them another way.
Absolutely. Hey, know your business and understand how you should be articulating it to a potential employer. Make yourself attractive as an employer.
Yes. You know, it's funny. Before we were getting on with you, I was sharing with Savannah, our producer. I'm a huge believer in assisted stretch as somebody who has enjoyed and played athletics for much of my life. There's a reason why every team on the planet uses folks to help their athletes stretch because as much as you can do for yourself, there's so much more that can be done if somebody's helping you professionally. What was it that brought you into this space that told you that this was an organization you'd want to find your level of progress in?
It was an interesting time of our lives. My wife and I had had our daughter in San Francisco, weren't looking for any kind of opportunities to move. We were very happy there and got recruited by Exponential, and the rest is history. But as I started talking to Lou DiFrancisco, one of my mentors, our previous president, it became very evident that there was a long term vision, a legacy vision into what Exponential was doing. And I was really attracted to that growth opportunity within Exponential. And I haven't been an athlete, I've had assisted stretching in the past, but I hadn't quite yet connected it to like, how's this going to work? So I came down to Los Angeles to one of our founding studios and I walked into the Santa Monica just to try it. My wife and I,
They had no idea that you were
they had no idea who I was. And I wasn't an employee then. So I was in the recruiting phase before I accepted the role. But this is kind of burned in my memory. When I walked in, I saw a gentleman that probably was in his 70s or 80s.
Mhm.
I saw a younger athlete that was probably under 10 years old. And then I saw a few other people that were somewhere in between. Okay, we're onto something. There's something here. And then I got a stretch, and it just immediately got me back to where I was. And he connected the dots. Yeah, we could bring this to the masses. There's a space for it. I'm seeing what that looks like with what our potential target demographic could look like, which is literally everyone.
right. Name someone that's not in your target demographic.
Yeah, so that was an immediate aha moment for me from a professional standpoint. And we were in our 900 square foot apartment in San Francisco. We just had our first daughter. Although we were very happy in San Francisco with our friends and family, the opportunity coupled with a little bit more space certainly made it more attractive to move the entire family to Southern California. And yeah, we've been having a blast down here. It's been awesome.
I want to dig into Lou DiFrancisco.
Yep, yep,
He was your predecessor,
yep.
but he has become your mentor in this space.
Man, it just continues to energize me into giving myself to the rest of the people that I work with and to help develop them personally, professionally, and be able to create opportunities for them. I was really fortunate. I mentioned some of the earlier leaders that I've had in my career. It's not always been the case where you get a leader and it works out.
No.
I've been through different evolutions of leaders, and Lou certainly kind of stood out as one of those leaders that immediately we had a connection. I understood his vision just about immediately, and I understood the experiences that he had were more dynamic. I wanted to have those experiences and I wanted to have those qualities that'll help my career. So I try to do my best to park myself in his office or learn as much as I can from him or steal as much time as I possibly can so I could learn as much as I possibly can around this business and how to execute every function of the role. I was fortunate that he also allowed me, he was open to say, "Hey, I am going to give you the book. I'll walk you through every step of what this role means, what this business means, how to execute and make decisions, how to weigh different things before making decisions." It's been an invaluable resource for me, and he keeps on giving because he's just upstairs for another one of our brands. So I keep picking his brain. You got to be confident in your abilities and the skill set you have and why you were hired to do the role. Be open, humanize the experiences that you have as a leader to your team. When that's humanized, the real stuff really actually starts to come out. The real connection really starts to happen. Listen, listen. One of my leaders gave me some really good advice. Said, listen twice as much as you speak. That's why you have two ears, one mouth. Listen to your team. I give a lot of value to Lou for listening. He really gave us the opportunity to make our own mistakes as a brand was growing so we could learn and do it better. We really try to push every boundary of innovation with our brand. And he wasn't constricted as a leader. He was open. He allowed us to push those boundaries. He wasn't a know it all. He listened.
I love to humanize the experiences. What does that mean?
I'll give you an example. I would start every meeting. It could be 30 minutes. It could be 1 hour meeting that I would have with Lou or any other member of my team. And the first 30 seconds to 1 minute of the meeting has nothing to do about what we're going to discuss. It is about something personal. It is about something that you've experienced. It's, hey, how are you doing? How is your family? That's what I mean. We have to get to know each other and understand our purpose. I know why each one of my team members are here. There's a purpose for them to be here. And I need to constantly remind them and myself why they're here. Because the stuff we're going to talk about in business is going to be the work. But the why they're here is, how's your daughter? How's your family? How are your workouts coming along? How's your health and wellness? How's your mental health? Sometimes we get too caught up jumping into the stuff. Hey, man, everybody's come in with a different type of experience, and I don't know what they've been through. Humanize those experiences.
You have to know why they're there. That only happens if you ask the questions and you take time to listen. Every bit of what you're talking about here, almost like a good assisted
All
stretch.
right. I see what you did there. Pretty good.
Look, but I love the idea too that you were lucky enough to have a mentor who stayed and poured into you and that you took full advantage of that. How great is that? You didn't run from it either. There are a lot of people who are assuming a role in leadership. They kind of want it to become theirs so you don't spend too much time understanding where we came from.
Right. I certainly feel blessed having had those experiences with Lou. And like I said, it continues to happen. So I'm grateful.
That's awesome. I know community is really important to you all at Stretch Lab.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to leaders who are striving to foster a sense of community?
Be honest and transparent.
Mm,
The biggest threat to any business where you have customers is trust. You can do a SWOT analysis and look at all the different challenges that could potentially happen. Certainly, there's competition and all those different things that might be a threat to our business, but I always think of it as trust. If you're able to foster trust between you and your customers, then you're able to get them to execute. For us, our franchisees need to trust that we are the experts, that we have their best interests at heart. And for you to be able to build trust, you have to be transparent in how you're operating. We put our business out there to our franchisees. We show how we perform across the entire system. So we're able to see what good looks like. We don't shy away from how we're performing. The only way we get to improve is if we know. We cannot improve unless we know. Be transparent to your customers and have that shared vision. Be aligned in that way. Your goals may not necessarily be 100% aligned, but it should be most of the way there as a business and a customer, in our case, franchisees to franchisor.
Yeah. You know, you've been around a lot of teams, both in soccer and business. There are a lot of people that refer corporately to their organizations as teams,
Yeah.
but they're really more disconnected parts who get the same paycheck, basically. If you're trying to coach one of us how to build a team, give me some elements that I could build into creating a team that I might learn from you.
I always look at teams as a group of individuals until there's a shared vision or a shared action plan, shared goals. We have to understand what that shared vision is of the group. We have to have alignment with whatever those growth goals are. So each individual on my team as contributors, they have to feed into this goal and this shared vision as a team. And so for me as a leader, whatever the goals of the business is, I have to find a way to make it align to everyone that is going to execute this plan.
Hmm.
They have to find a way to own it. I, as a leader, have to figure out how do I connect the dots to where they own this goal as much as I do, as much as our VPs, as much as our directors, and so forth. Once you have a shared vision, commit yourself as a leader to spending quality time with all the individual contributors. Now, depending on the level of your organization, that may mean you're meeting with C suites or directors and so forth. And then you're disseminating them to do the same thing with their teams. But if you're able to commit your time to spending time with individual contributors and then ensuring that the vision of the group is aligned with their personal growth and all those different things, again, referencing back to, I need to know why they're there because I could push on that. That's something you could take action right now.
Yeah.
Have a shared vision, goals, action items, whatever it is as a group, and then spend time with each individual contributor to understand how we align their goals with the shared vision of the group.
You've made several references throughout this amazing conversation to spending time. As you're growing so exponentially, how are you finding the time?
Not anything that is groundbreaking. One of the best things that Lou taught us is the value of meeting rhythms that are actionable and are functional. I incorporate a system of meeting rhythms to my team and then them to their teams, our franchisees to their teams that are impactful for our business. For a franchisee, they have a daily check in with their operators, general managers, lead flexologists, and so forth. They have a weekly dashboard review. That's where they're looking at the KPIs and reviewing the actions associated with the KPIs and who the individual contributors of those KPIs are.
Right.
Out of that meeting, the action is who's coaching that person,
Hmm.
a monthly team meeting, and so forth. For me internally, I apply the same methodology. We have a daily team huddle. We do a run and show of what our business looks like by every team member on the executive team. We do a positive focus, personally or professionally. We go into the meat of our day. These are the meetings I have. These are the executables items that I have. If there are any cross department information that needs to be transferred, we have that opportunity to do that. And we talk about anywhere that we're stuck for that day so we can solve the problem right away. Everyone on our team goes through this. It takes about 12 minutes. It's a stand up meeting, it's quick. Get the juices flowing. Let's get stimulated on what we're working on today. What do we need to get accomplished? I do the same thing once a week, team meeting, dashboard review. We're looking at our entire business from the front end to the back end. Where are the areas of opportunities? Essentially, where are we going to deploy our resources for that week?
You're making your point. A lot of this is about established rhythms. And as long as everybody knows this is what's coming, this is how it's going to happen.
This is how I need to be prepared. This is what's coming. And this is what he's going to ask me. This is what we're going to review. We have a pretty good rhythm of those on a weekly basis, individually by department.
Hmm.
And we're synthesizing the week of what's happening in their business. And that allows me to have that FaceTime.
And in the middle of all that, you still find time to ask personal questions. I like that.
You have to. You have to make that commitment. You have to. There are times where we're going to get down to the stuff we need, but I have to make a commitment as a leader for me to invest the time into getting to know my people because I find that I'm able to extract the best out of them.
Verdine, Thank you very much. I am grateful for the opportunity to learn from you, to be better because of it. Thank you for being a corporate competitor with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I hope some of the content was of value to your listeners.
Okay, I will tell you that was great. What amazing stuff. This is a guy committed to learning. You got to love that. Right from the very beginning, first general manager, he's figuring out what can I learn from you? And he learns early on the value of process and systems. That if we're going to be more efficient with our time, we're going to be more effective in everything we do, systematize anything that you can, create process around it. And that makes you able to be more consistent in everything you do. Love that. And then I really appreciate that he talked about the importance consistently about getting to know your people. You need to know why they're there, because there are times when you may need to optimize their contribution, when you need to push that button, if you will. And you can only do that if you know what matters to them. You have to do that by spending quality time with your individual contributors. How do you do that? I think that would be my third takeaway. I loved his discussion about creating rhythms to your meetings. How many of us do not do that? Our meetings sometimes can feel scattered and all over the place. There's a defined rhythm to what he does in the meetings that he holds. Everybody knows what to expect and the amount of time that it's going to be expected of them, how it's going to go down from start to finish. And as that happens, comfort happens, conversation happens, your system becomes easier to carry through, and you're able to achieve far, far more. Verdine was an amazing corporate competitor, and I hope that as a result of learning from him, you will be as well. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. Feedback helps us spread the insights of our guests to a wider audience. It actually increases our ratings. Thank you so much for those who have done so in the past. And catch new episodes every Wednesday. Subscribe at corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to be the first to get a chance to listen. And as a thank you gift, I will send you a chapter from one of my best-selling books. Stay connected with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My handle is @DonYaeger, DonYaeger. And until next week, I appreciate you.